In this demonstration, we're going to look at creating a failover cluster for our Hyper-V nodes. So what I've done here is I've just launched up Server Manager on my Hyper-V host, and what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to install the clustering service. So to do that, all we're going to do here is come back to our dashboard, and we'll add some roles and features, select our next button. We're going to go with a role-based or feature-based installation. We're going to select LON host 1, select next. Not going to bother with any roles, but what we are going to install is we are going to install the failover clustering feature. We'll add all the additional features as well. Click our next button, have a quick look at the confirmation, and then click install. Now this is going to go away and install the feature, so what we'll do at this point here is just pause the video and return back once the feature is installed. So the installation is now complete, so we'll just close down the feature installer. The next thing we need to do here is what we did in an earlier demo is we attach through to some disks. So what we're going to do is we're just going to format the disks so they can be made available to the cluster. So in order to do that, all I'm going to do is launch up computer management on my Hyper-V host. Right, so attached through computer management, we've got two disks. So all we're going to do here is we're just going to put these disks online. And then we'll initialize the disks, and then once they're initialized we just need to format them. So all we'll do is create a new simple volume, select our next button, and I'm just going to keep clicking next. I'm not going to bother changing any of the defaults, and then we'll do the same thing with the second disk. Again, not bother changing any defaults. So as you can see, we've now formatted the disk, so we'll just close down computer management. We don't need that anymore, and then we'll just come into our tools, and what we're going to launch up here is we're just going to launch up our cluster management utility. Here we go, in our failover cluster manager utility. So all we're going to do here is we're going to create a cluster. That's going to bring us into Wizard, so we'll select our next button. We need to select our servers, so I'll just enter in LON host 1 and LON host 2. So validating the two servers that we're going to add to the cluster, select our next button. Just on the validation warning here, we'll just have a quick look through here. So it's just telling us that for the servers we select for this cluster, the reports from the cluster config validation tests appear to be missing or incomplete. Microsoft supports cluster solution only if the complete config, servers, network and storage can pass all the tests in the validate the wizard. Do I want to continue to run the configuration validation tests before continuing? And what I do want to do here is I definitely do want to run the validation tests just as part of the demo, so we'll select next. Right, this brings us into a little wizard, so we'll just select our next button again. All we're going to do here is we're just going to run all tests, so we'll select next. And then what we'll do, just have a quick look through here. So it shows us all the tests it's going to run. And then we'll select next again, and it's going to go away and do some validation. Now what we've got here is we don't have a complete, fully supported environment for our lab environment, so we do suspect that we will get a couple of little issues as it runs through the validation test. Obviously if I was doing this out in the real world, I would have made sure everything's on the hardware compatibility list. I would have had some shared storage configured, and I would have had multiple networks. But at this point here, it's going to take a few minutes just to run through the validation tests. So what I'll do at this point here, I'll just pause the video and we'll return back once the validation tests are complete. So we can see now that the failover cluster validation report has gone through. Everything's validated. We've got successes all the way down. That's always good, so we'll select finish. And now what we need to do is we need to give our cluster a name. So what we'll do here is we'll just call it LON hyphen, and we'll just call it clust. And then what we're going to do here is we're just going to have it running on our 172.16 network. So I'll get rid of the 192.168, and in the case of the address here, I'll just make the last octet 234. Select my next button, and then what we'll do here, just have a quick look through. Happy with all of this information, and select next. And now it's going to go away and create the cluster. So at this point here, we'll just pause the video and return back once the cluster is completed. So what we can now see is the cluster has now created, so we'll just select finish. And now we can see we've got our cluster. What we've also got here as well is just on the disk, so what we need to do is we just need to make a cluster shared volume. So all we'll do is we'll go to disks at this point here. We can see our disks, we go for our available storage, and what we'll do here is we'll just add this to the cluster shared volumes. And what we've now done is we've now enabled this to be a cluster shared volume, so we can now store virtual machines on there. And that's the end of this demonstration. Thanks very much.